All right.
بس يعني we go back to remote play being يعني an interesting innovation.
So remote play, basically what we're talking about, people, is the PlayStation. Shamsi just figured out that you actually can remote play through a PlayStation and play from anywhere else.
Yes.
شوف,
And he's shocked by the technology of 2008.
Well, sure. It's not 2008. It's not.
What is that? 2014.
Okay, there's a big difference there. It's a whole other decade.
The experience of Shamsi just found out a thing is a very common experience, unfortunately.
Sure, I believed a long time ago that technology kind of peaked and everything else is just extra sauce. And you don't always need extra sauce. So you don't really need to learn.
Then how come when you find out these things that we already knew from 10 years ago, you'll be like, oh my God.
Sometimes you find the new sauce and you're like, oh, this is actually good.
Could it be you neglecting or not accepting that technology can go anywhere where it can help you in your own personal life? Is the reason why you don't care about these new techs? Because you think you are fulfilled in your everyday task in life?
إلى حد ما, yeah. I find myself to be not an early adopter. I find myself to be a late
When I
boomer.
Boomer. I was thinking bloomer, but okay.
When I worked with you, Shams, you had this annoying habit when we were discussing what's happening in the influencer sphere. You made a big point and I don't follow that shit. And my point was that we work in marketing. We have to follow that shit.
Exactly.
And I feel like my career has worked out quite fine without me being involved in the intricacies of social media.
Yeah, that happened.
Or maybe there is a chunk of knowledge that could have helped you excel in your career that you decided to ignore.
Very half full. I like that. I like that.
Very half full. What was half full about that?
It's the glass.
It's a glass.
Yeah, and I'm looking half empty. Anyway, the emptiness of not having to.
And I'm looking at it, and there's things
the knowledge.
He could have done.
Yeah, he could have.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
No, we know we're right.
Yeah, what's full in that? I'm trying to figure out.
No, he's saying basically we're looking at the cup from two different halves.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
Both are empty.
لا هو حقه في knowledge.
Us, yes. We're empty.
His cup has knowledge. I like his cup.
Knowledge that you didn't use.
Okay.
Knowledge that you didn't gain.
Then you just give a reason why you ignored it.
Now I can drink from this cup knowing what kind of knowledge I shall gain. Okay.
I recently saw a deck that helped me. A PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Because it's you. If it was anyone else.
Clarifications matter.
So there is a practical reason why you should be aware of what's happening in the online sphere with quote unquote celebrities, influencers, lihiba. There was this presentation where I saw what they suggested a influencer for a very big launch that was, how can I say this, recently calling for glass in Gaza.
Okay.
As an American influencer, I'm like, maybe don't have them in that presentation, Abu Shabab.
Okay. Well, see, this is why you have experts at these things who go out.
This is what, again, I found out time and time again, like, we really are assuming a lot of people when we assume they've Googled Flan or Alam before joining.
Oh, we had that conversation like a couple of episodes ago. Specifically about that. Bringing people that
don't really know what
you didn't even ask.
Yeah. I believe I called them the pretty women I follow because I hate myself.
Okay, that's what you call them.
No, that's what they are.
Okay. Very self-centered of you.
Very honest assessment. Very self-aware.
Hey, welcome, Pastor Kabsa. It's your boy Ad. What's happening? What's popping? Episode 235. I got the homie Chuck's up behind me. I got champagne.
No, it was just one this time.
Okay.
You didn't like the double.
The whole idea was wrong.
Hello.
I got Yo-Yo Champs right next to me.
Yo. Where is the yo-yo?
I broke it yesterday.
Why?
I got number one in the building.
What did the yo-yo do?
Okay.
It was too much fun.
Were there Frenchmen shouting downstairs?
No. I was
Yo-yoing.
So I didn't know that it was okay. This is really well. This is boys talk. Okay, this is what boys go through. So ladies, it might sound stupid to you, but trust me.
Yeah.
I don't know headlights.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you guys left it here. So I was like, okay, let me just roll it up. I was like, okay, let me try one. And then the lights came out like, ooh.
Okay, so literally what you just said.
Exactly. So I stood up. I'm like, yo, let me do some tricks. Bro, from the first one, I brought it down. My head was so low, it just cracked and spread everywhere.
This is the shit you were making fun of me yesterday on. Yani. Thank you, universe, for yani.
So your lizard brain activated.
Oh, lights.
It's shiny.
Dude, whatever happened to the shoes with the lights on? I miss those. And the wheelies.
The wheelies is too much as the 40-year-old adult term.
Dude, come on. With the metro and the buses.
And the short shorts.
And the
Okay, I'm not sure. Is that the hat with the thing?
No, that's a beanie.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
It's the shoe.
Shoes.
The shoe with the wheel at the bottom.
That pops up on the bottom.
Isn't that called a rollerblade?
No, it is a shoe. It is a shoe.
Okay.
Regular ass shoe. You walk. Then you go like, oh, I need to go fast.
Okay.
I need to slide through.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then you just how do I explain?
You pop
this?
out. You literally pop out a wheelie.
Yes, one wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. You remove your shoe from inside. There's a wheel that's tucked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pop it out.
Yeah.
And then put your
Slide away, homie.
That's it. and
Exactly.
go.
Yeah.
Slide on, brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
You never had those?
I never had those.
You had a sad childhood.
I think I might have.
Yeah.
But you did have the shoes with the lights.
Yeah, shoes with the lights
course.
were Air Maxes, weren't they? Those Air Maxes. Or
no, it wasn't Air
Filas?
Maxes.
No, you were bougie.
Well, again, there was us with Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
أتذكر
And we
فيلا.
shared it.
Okay.
I have a one-up on Shamsi on this with the no childhood thing. I will put it for the record, listeners. I have never ridden a bike.
No, you're not the only one. I know a lot of people that never ridden the bike.
Same.
No, he was driven in a bike. That was the thing.
When he was 12, he got a Mercedes, a purple Mercedes. Why would he ride a bike?
Not a small one,
Berbil.
a real one.
Berbil.
Like حقيقي.
Like literally, like an S-Class.
Yeah.
شبح.
Who needs a bike?
خفايف. أكثر مشاوير.
So yeah, I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, number one is in the building.
Yeah.
We don't care.
You didn't see the Beckham documentary, did you?
No.
You didn't see it
I
either.
didn't finish it. I just saw the first.
Is it good?
I actually liked it. Even though I saw it in reverse. I went to the last episode because I want to see Madrid. And then I was like, okay, this is enjoyable. So I went backwards for some weird reason.
How
Look at you,
memento of you.
Tarantino, in your own shows.
Yeah.
Vibes, bro. So there was this clip where Posh Spice saying, "Oh, we're just a normal,
Yeah,
calm,
regular
working
couple.
family." Yeah, that's him.
Mm.
That's him. He's the guy. I was just one of the boys.
What did your
Yeah.
dad? What did your dad drive you to school in?
Exactly.
What did your dad drive you to school in?
So in the 80s, my dad had a Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I just walked away.
That's number one.
Point proven. Yeah.
You on the other hand, you wrote on someone's back, but we're not going to say it right here.
I mean, you know, I had
Tradition.
people. I had people.
You had people.
I
True.
had people to take
Technically,
care of
they
me,
were called people.
You know, we come from a big family. So yeah.
Big family.
Yeah, exactly. Family vibes.
Family vibes.
Yeah.
Anyway, are we done trashing each other's families?
Yes.
Like our families are watching this like, yo, look at these idiots.
They're used to it at this point.
فضحتونا.
200 episodes in, I think they're used to
They're
it.
vibes. So what's the name?
You.
All right.
That's our segment separator, man.
I have the
Timestamped.
The popcorn was delicious. I
So
have
for you
hiccups.
eagle-eyed viewers, it is Sunday, so we don't know what happened this week.
What happened?
Most of us are out of town right now. Half of us is out of town.
I haven't seen you guys in a while.
No, with,
No, idiot. This episode's supposed to come out while we're out of town.
With-
Yes. Okay.
with me.
Forgot.
Stupid. You just go acting mode. Done. Activated.
I am an actor.
Yes. Let's pretend.
جيب العيد.
I have a correction, Adil.
Go ahead.
With me and you out of town and my head, that's 3/4 of these people out of town.
Well, I never said who's going to be out of town, but thanks for putting us out there.
Yeah.
فضحتنا.
Yeah.
For a stupid joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good.
Who's going to protect my wealth when I'm gone?
احنا نحب الرياض ما نروح مكان.
You missed the most episodes on this podcast.
Because sickness. Disease.
No, and
there was
some-
sickness.
Vacations.
You went to Zimbabwe.
Weddings.
That is a sickness also. Vacations are a sickness, I do agree.
Didn't you go to Zimbabwe or something?
Zimbabwe.
Okay, see,
He
too much
wishes.
information.
No, he went to, where'd you go?
Zanzibar.
Hey, that's what I
Aziz
thought.
was there.
Yeah.
By the way, every now and then when he's talking to me about Zanzibar, he slips the Zanzi,
Yeah.
then he remembers who he's talking to. He says
At
Zanzibar
the
right
bar,
after.
yeah. At the bar.
Because he knows I'm going to turn with the right fist.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have no idea what's going on. So, like, don't hate on us if we missed on something really big. We know that Israel's still a little bitch.
That has not changed.
That has not changed.
Will not change anytime
Pray
soon.
for Gaza. Pray for
Yes,
Palestine.
please.
Always.
That has not changed.
Mm.
And other news,
Though there is one thing, like one of the Israeli ministers said the quiet
I was
part.
about to the condemnation that Saudi just put out.
Yeah, the quiet part. He said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
So an Israeli minister.
Ministry of Heritage said that, you know what, maybe the atomic bomb on Gaza would be an option. And like,
Oh wow!
What?
yeah, حرفياً قال.
Publicly.
Okay,
What?
so
Zubadi.
Heritage.
confirming
Yes.
genocide and confirming that they have a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, which is
No,
like,
everybody knows they had a nuclear.
yeah,
but
confirming literally.
but
Read
they're,
this.
but
This just came out a
they're-
few minutes ago.
The official stance of Israel is like, maybe we do, maybe we don't. We don't have nuclear.
Dude,
Maybe
I'll tell you about that, but Shams, read that.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia condemns in the strongest terms possible the extremist remarks by an Israeli occupation government minister regarding dropping a nuclear bomb on the besieged Gaza Strip, which show the pervasiveness of extremism and brutality among members of the Israeli government. Indeed, pervasiveness, that's the right word. Moreover, not dismissing the minister from the government immediately and only freezing his membership constitutes the utmost disregard for all human and religious moral values and legal norms by the Israeli government. Also true.
Yeah, the US is letting them getting away with everything.
This is literally a standing member of your government, very
Advocate,
casually
Hate
advocating.
speech publicly.
Yeah, very casually
Not
advocating
even-
for the deaths of
not-
hundreds of thousands.
not even hate speech. This is publicly advocating for genocide and like, yeah, maybe we have to.
I think they've been advocating for genocide for the last month.
I think
Yeah, I
Mexico-
think
Actually, 70 years.
yeah, true. And I think, and you look going back over the past couple of weeks and beyond that, the remarks that come from the Israeli government has always shown you that is always the ultimate goal, getting rid of everybody Palestinian. So,
This is where it gives us, we have a moral conflict. We do not enjoy what Hamas is doing or accept what Hamas is doing. But right now, Hamas is on the defense. And the only thing we can do is, hey, someone has to do something. And that's why we're all like, we're all in a dilemma right now.
it's the idea of the Palestinian resistance and movement has been alive in different forms for different ways. And at the end of the day, you are talking about people who have been besieged for years now, and somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to defend them in one way, shape, or form. So
And the videos are out there. They were putting in work. They were really putting in work.
yeah.
Guess which videos are being boosted, which videos are being suppressed. Yeah.
I'm
No,
thinking
listen,
about this.
you're talking about they've been planning for this. They've been like training for this. It's not random,
I don't know what to say anymore, bro. I really hope this some way somehow gets fixed properly.
Amen.
I have a lot to say about it, but I don't want to say it on the podcast. We need here's the
Yeah,
thing. A lot of
yeah,
people tell us, yo, we want to hear the things that's outside of the podcast. Even if we do Patreon, it's still gonna be there for other
Yeah.
people to hear. So we really
Exactly.
can't do that. We will do Kabsa Majlis.
Once in the future, once upon a time.
Then we discuss.
Yes, I will start an OnlyFans for you.
Okay, that's
Okay.
that's him. That's him.
Only fan.
Only
Yes.
and it's me.
Yes. I love myself. Somebody has to.
Good for you. Good for you. Number one.
Anything else happened?
In other news,
We recorded yesterday, to be honest.
there are no
Yeah.
other news. Also, I haven't seen you guys.
Yeah. Stand up, bro.
It's been a
We
bit.
didn't, we didn't
Okay.
cover the what's it called? The health insurance thing.
I don't have a lot of information about it, but from what it sounds amazing.
It does.
That finally the whole country is going to have free healthcare.
Yeah.
Turning, are they? I don't know if they announced it or not. This is what I remember because I forgot what I read. I remember a long time ago, the conversation was we need free healthcare, no more government hospitals, even government hospitals will turn private. This is what I remember. And I think everyone under the sun in Saudi is going to have free healthcare.
Yeah,
That is dope.
that was the recent announcement I think by mid 2024 or something similar to that.
Nice.
Every Saudi will be completely covered from A to Z, not paying a dime. And you know what the first thought that popped into my head? Hey, America, I can't hear you over my zero student wealth and universal healthcare. Speak up. Sleepy, I can't hear you.
Oh, fair point.
You're an idiot. No, but it's
Am I though?
actually you're not an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But what's the name? The idea of it, if you remember, government hospitals took you months to get an appointment.
Yeah.
True.
We had free healthcare, but it was difficult to get the thing that you needed. If
Yeah.
you had a toothache, you're not going to get it cured today.
Yeah, the idea of privatization would at least with quote unquote profit motives, would focus more on efficiency and competition.
Exactly. Ministry of Health should really focus on the quality.
Yes.
So, you're the governing body. So just govern them.
You govern and you legislate.
Yes. It's an amazing news.
Ayun.
Allah يوفقنا كلنا, I swear to God. It's very hard to celebrate these days.
And there's, alhamdulillah,
It is,
we live in a place where there's a lot of positives around us on a daily basis. We get to hear amazing, incredible achievements and announcements in all different spheres, from health to tourism to like even today, like we were reading, like they found this ancient axe in al-Ula. Like we're even going back
200,000 years.
Yeah, we're going back in history where we're building for the future, where we're currently, developing our present. So there's alhamdulillah, there's plenty to be happy about.
There's a lot of great things that happened this month, but there's a dark cloud over the whole Arab and Muslim world.
Yeah, it's completely natural and understood. Like all of us, we grew up with this cause. It is, for many people and for many reasons, it is the cause. Like every negative and toxic thing that is from this region, it basically traces back its roots to this cause in some way or another. Like you fix this, a lot of things get fixed the next day.
A lot of excuses for a lot of people to do a lot of bad shit basically goes away.
Yeah, little Hizbi vert disappears if this gets fixed.
I love that name, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that name. Inshallah khair.
Inshallah.
Indeed.
Anyway, it's still dark cloud, nonetheless. But since speaking of dark cloud, also let's talk about the elephant in the Arab world. It's not even in the room anymore. As Saudis, we've been getting attacked for starting the Riyadh season. We've been attacked by like people who were supposed to be involved in the Riyadh season, and they came out and said a lot of things and a lot of words, and that doesn't help anybody.
True.
That doesn't help no one. Doesn't help us. Doesn't help you. We're not going to stop our day-to-day life. We're not going to sit here every day just crying. No, we're going to pray for you and move on with our lives. We have things to go do. We have objectives. We have KPIs. We have things we have to get to. So we're always going to keep moving. I'm not. If some people are angry about what's happening, it's your choice to be angry. I'm not going to tell you don't be angry. It's up to you. I am looking at the people who are speaking out. Like for specifically, there's a guy, I think he's an Egyptian actor, and I think Mohammed Salama or something. Hold on. I had it written somewhere. I really hope I have it. I think Mohammed Salama. He did a video saying he's putting out of an event for Riyadh season. They offered me a lot of money, like 3 million Jareh or something like that. And I said no because of what's happening in Gaza. Right?
Okay, cool.
Let me finish. Everyone came out. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I got that.
I think I'm sensing the end of the story here.
Yeah, that same night he was someone recorded a video of him entering a nightclub, and everyone's hugging him, saying, "Yo, thank you for canceling by sitting in a nightclub."
Yo,
I'm like,
okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that as Saudis we don't understand. You are telling us that we're doing events and we're bad people. But we don't see your nightclubs being closed. We don't see your lounges being closed. We don't see your entertainment not happening. Turkey celebrated 100 years with fireworks everywhere.
Yeah.
Egypt had a jazz festival or some shit. I mean, there's a lot of events that's happening in your countries, and you guys did not stop. But you want to point a finger.
Life goes on, and you
It's
can't
not-
expect life.
There's
to not
also
go
life
on.
goes on for us too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
it's not so much life goes on. It's basically
Hypocrisy.
it's virtue signaling. The idea here is that what is the most prominent activity in the region other than the war? And okay, Riyadh season. What it serves my purpose. It serves. I seek some sort of benefit from it by appearing virtuous, and so I will be against it. But in reality, you have to understand that, as you said, life does go on, and we understand that there are people here in this country who are directly affected by these things in Gaza. We have, I think, close to 300,000 people from Palestine. That's not even counting the people who are of Palestinian descent.
Yeah.
So,
Which is a lot of our friends.
which are a lot of friends, in some cases family. They have a right to have a normal life, a normal existence as well. So they are just as much a recipient and a benefactor from these activities, just as much as any other Saudi. We saw this in the Yemen war. We saw this in the conflict of Syria. We do not make a big fuss of supporting and accommodating and providing a sense of normalcy for people who do not have the luxury of having a normal life at home. So the idea that we should quote unquote stop celebrating, stop being normal. No, we can have our cake and eat it too.
It's not about having the cake. It's about, you said it, it's about having a sense of normalcy.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, we're talking about events that are happening and not here. And the reaction that you have where you want everything just to stop and grind to a halt just because we're talking about people with jobs here. We're talking about people that get paid off of these things. We're talking about entire industries that are here, have planned for this for a long time, and they're, expecting to go on with it. So I do understand people's inclination to not want to engage or want to be involved with this kind of stuff, but being angry and going out and calling us out for it doesn't really help anyone.
That's the part.
Yeah.
It's okay for you if you don't want to. Like even here, we had events that was almost empty. No one pulled up to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were not in the mood to celebrate anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have the option whether we want to go or not. But you don't get to shame us whenever you want. You shamed us before we had any of this. You found reasons to keep trying to shame us.
Yeah, you shamed us for being backward. Now you shame us for being progressive.
And at the same time, you are trying to add anger to Saudis.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. You're misdirecting your anger.
But see, some people will tell you, yes, I'm just angry about what you guys are doing. And it is, we can understand that there's a misdirection somewhere. But there are people that actually want the shu'ub to be fucking angry.
True.
They want people to rise up.
And all of
another Arab Spring. Yeah. Like they actually want that to happen.
True.
And that is something that we've already been through it. We're not going to allow that shit to fucking come back again.
Yeah.
Even when it happened, we all stood up by the government like, yo, this is not coming toward us anymore. We're going to stop it, whatever the fuck it is. And this has that same feeling again. That, look, you guys need to stand up. And it's always these people from the outside that had nothing to do with internal business of any of these countries trying to tell them what to do and trying to shame people what to do. You know?
Rise up Arabs. Location, London. Rise up Arabs. Location, Berlin. Like, my guy, relax. You can't call from the Caliphate from Bradford and Birmingham.
Bradford.
روقنا يا والشباب.
لا بس يعني what you said, number one, I think that's a key point, providing a sense of normalcy, because at the end of the day, yes, we are here, and unfortunately we can't look away, as much as we want, there's a moral imperative, honestly, for us to be informed of what's going on and be able to actually talk about it and be educated critically on what the actual issues are and the problems and all of that. So, doing that is draining. It eats away at your energy. And at some point, you just want to go out and feel like, alhamdulillah, dunya bkhair,
Allow me to allow me to go on.
Reintroduce myself. My name is Ho.
Yeah. I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration. I understand the anger. It's a natural human thing because we have a collective relationship with each other. We have a collective identification. If somebody in the Arab world bleeds, we feel it as well. We saw it in Egypt, we saw it in Syria, we saw it in Iraq, Lebanon. We feel, and that if anything, you can take the positive and interpretation of that, and that we feel connected to each other. Even that, يعني على قولة مصاري حتى مصارين البطن بتتعارك. So I understand that anger, the idea that you are attacking people for it and, as Adil said, shaming them, that doesn't help anybody.
Misdirection.
It basically helps people who want us to be divided.
Yeah, you just get heat back. It's not like you're going to try to shame me and I'm going to say, oh, no, okay, I understand. I'm going to say, fuck you.
No, we're just going to raise
get out of my business, bro.
Yeah, اقطعوا النفط يا ابو الشباب.
Bro, everyone's saying that, bro. Like, that's the only thing they remember, that's why.
Yeah, but
they
again,
no. Okay, nobody remembers.
Actually, that's true. That none of them fucking remember.
Nobody remembers.
That's all they heard.
And as much as we hear about it, when you hear about it from like the older members of your family, tara, it wasn't a small thing, yo.
I know.
It was a world-changing event, yo. Like for the first time, the West was shooketh because hey, they realized they weren't in control, and that is not something that that's not a card that you play easily.
You can't just throw it out there.
Yeah, you can't just throw it out there. Exactly. That led to change. That card led to changes. So, yeah. Smash.
Anyways, we did our best here. The range on this podcast is
No,
ridiculous.
I actually had a point that I wanted to respond to.
You have no points,
Yeah,
sir.
completely blew away.
No point.
You have a game to design.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because we do not have any content, as we said, because we don't know what the hell's happening next week.
Oh, what? We're
There
not a
is-
professional podcast?
No, fuck, we're not. So there's this thing that we always want to share with everybody, but we want to do it in a different
Format.
but we still haven't figured out the right way for this format to work. So we're still going to share right now, and then we'll discuss it later on. So the idea is this. There's something that I've been meaning to share with the boys, and I would like also to share with the podcast and the listeners.
We love you too, Adil.
Fuck off. So
We'll accept you regardless.
Asshole. You can come out.
I'm saying it. You can share whatever you want. This is a safe space.
It always has been.
Just get the mic closer to you. Anyway,
Closer.
assholes. I told you the range on this podcast.
Yeah.
Swear to God. By the way, I left the final gay boss joke last time.
Yeah, you did.
I'm keeping that. That was great. I laughed at it for like 40 minutes by myself yesterday. Anyway,
Thank you for making him giggle like a little girl.
I swear I lost that shit.
Yeah.
The vein was right here. in
Yeah,
my
I
head.
lost.
I saw the
I'm
vein.
sorry. I tried my best to hold my laugh. Anyway, so there is, if you guys, I will put the link in the description for you guys if you want to go see it for yourselves, but we're also going to play it here because it might have some videos. I don't remember very well. This is a TED Talk. This is Ian Bremmer. He's a political scientist, American political scientist. He did this TED Talk called "The Next Global Superpower Isn't Who You Think."
Ooh. Engaging. Intriguing. Yes. Not clickbaity at all.
This came out 4 months ago.
So just so we're all on the same page here, who is the next global superpower?
It's not who
I
you
already watched this.
It's
So
what I think is China. Not
No, it's
surprising.
the idea is that it's not what you think.
Exactly.
So
If you thought it, then it's not.
But we need to
Read the
discount.
title, sir. Read the
I'm
title.
just saying we need to discount it. So
Okay,
if it actually is China, then this video is a bad
we
video.
we need to guess. My guess, Lithuania.
Let's do
Luxembourg.
Let's do an actual proper guess.
What, me?
Yeah,
The one who doesn't know anything
do
about
an actual
politics?
proper
Yeah,
guess.
sure. Show your work.
The moon. You want me to guess? That's my guess.
The moon.
Okay.
New Zealand. Go ahead.
New Zealand.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go with Egypt. Shall I?
You?
I'm gonna go with Korea.
الباحة.
Of course.
It already is.
That's
though.
a given.
I do.
No,
Yeah.
but still, we want the world to know now.
Yeah. Okay.
الباحة is the Illuminati.
It's the global superpower of today, you know?
Play this. Let's figure it out.
Anyway.
Let's figure it out. Stupid
All right.
ass guesses.
Let me play for you guys.
The Dagbu Senati.
Okay, only Roma to get that. And Zahari.
Inside joke.
Is it loud enough
Warning.
for you boys?
I have a big question, which is who runs the world?
Girls.
It used to be an easy question to
It's a
answer.
great way to start.
If you're over 45, like me,
USA.
you grew up in a world that was dominated by two giants. The United States called the shots on one side of the wall. The Soviets set the rules on the other. And that was a bipolar world. It's very simple. If you're under 45, you grew up when the Soviet Union had already collapsed. And that left the United States as the sole superpower, dominating global institutions and also exerting raw power. And that was a unipolar world. And then about 15 years ago, things got a little more complicated.
15 years?
The United States increasingly didn't want to be the world's policeman
Global recession.
or the architect of global trade or even the cheerleader for global values.
No, that's some bullshit.
Other
Yeah.
countries were becoming more powerful and they could increasingly ignore many of the rules they didn't like, sometimes even setting new rules themselves.
India, Brazil, Russia,
What happened?
South Africa.
3 things. Number one, Russia was not integrated into Western institutions.
I wonder why.
A former great power, now in very serious decline, and they are angry about it. We can argue about whose fault that is, but we are where we are. Number two,
because they couldn't be humble about it.
China was integrated into US-led institutions on the presumption that as they got wealthier and more powerful, they would become Americans.
Values.
Big mistake.
Turns out
Assumption.
they're still Chinese. And the United States is not particularly comfortable with that. Number three,
Why not change?
tens of millions of citizens in the United States and other wealthy democracies felt left behind by globalization. This has been ignored for decades, but as a consequence, they felt that their governments and their leaders were more illegitimate.
And we're vampires.
If you look at all the headlines in the world today driving all of this geopolitical tension and conflict, over 90% of them are because of these three reasons. And that's why today we live in a leaderless world.
Can you summarize the three reasons for me, Astiria?
So after the Soviet Union fell, Russia, was the biggest nation within the Soviet Union, and Russia was basically mishandled by the West, let's say. They ended up going through 10 very difficult years in which the country was basically robbed from all of its wealth by a bunch of oligarchs that got it on pennies on the dollar.
Remember Shishan was during that time.
And basically the West was not interested in having a strong Russia. That's basically one of the things that happened. NATO expanded during the 90s, even though it wasn't supposed to expand. The West started influencing Yugoslavia, which ended up having a civil war, which broke out, which Russia couldn't do anything about. So Zibda, that's why Putin came in. Okay, that's the first reason. Second reason is China.
Piggybacking off that, basically Putin came in as in, you know what, I am the law and order. I will bring everything back to stability, and he hasn't left since.
Not just that,
he was also
savior of the nation.
Yeah, but before that, he used to work in intelligence.
Yeah,
true. So we're talking about like a member of the deep state, if you would like, somebody who was actually there when the Soviet Union was running, and he knew how things run. He saw what happened in Russia over the 10 years after that. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna fix things in my own way. That's one. And then second is China being integrated into US institutions. So China, in the 70s, late 70s, China was accepted by the US.
This is the open China policy with Nixon.
Because they saw them as weak.
Before that, they saw them as weak. And then at that point, they wanted to kind of play them against the Russians. So they said, okay, China, we're going to accept you into the world. We're going to allow you to become part of our institutions. And then China in the early 90s, I think, changed their policy into more commercial, to actually become the factory of the world. And the problem with that was, hey, Americans thought, you'll be just like us because our values are great.
Yeah, that started in the 90s?
The
early 90s, late 80s.
The idea here, and it is underpinning a lot of American liberal thinking, is that when you expand the middle class through economic wealth, the middle class will no longer have to struggle meeting the basic necessities, so they will have a desire and a drive to pursue greater civil liberties, personal liberties,
AKA to consume.
political rights. So basically the idea, once these countries become more wealthy and more integrated, they'll
want more.
They will naturally become more liberal and democratic.
Naturally.
Because
human nature.
Because again, as Francis Fukuyama said, liberal democracy is the natural end state for society as a whole. That was his theory. This is the best thing. And
can you repeat that?
Liberal democracy.
What did he say?
Is the natural end state for most societies.
Okay.
So in his theory, which is named The End of History, his essay, the idea is that every single society will naturally lead and reach that conclusion, and every misstep is just it will be corrected eventually. It's a matter of when, not if.
He came out with this essay right after the Soviet Union fell in 1993, and at that point the West thought, hey, we won. What did they think they won? The world. And what does that actually mean? that liberal democracy, that model of government, is going to become the dominant mode of governing. Like we're spreading democracy and values,
and we're the only sole superpower now.
Yeah, as the US. And then over the next 20 years, they ended up, like, I'm interested to see his so basically, I think the trigger was the costs of the Iraq war, and then plus adding to that the recession, which happened just as Obama.
Okay, no, you're taking guesses on the future.
Yeah.
Okay, let him finish, and then we'll go through.
Let's go on.
And the third cause was, he said that Western democracy and America in particular, there are large swaths of the population who feel that they've been left aside by globalization.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, I don't know, like XYZ in
Kentucky,
Factory Alabama. They call it the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
Where they were basically the factories and economic centers of America. A lot of that jobs and their production are being outsourced.
Yeah.
So they're frustrated, jobless. So the idea is that a lot of the economic recovery that happened after the financial crisis in America, it went to the cities. The rural parts of America did not recover from the financial crisis. So you have cities that are basically rotting and abandoned.
Same thing in the UK in the north. So it's that same problem. Those same cities had issues in the 80s, and then
all the blue collar cities.
Yeah,
and that's why you have
California went through it, LA went through it.
Yeah, and
Chicago went through it.
Yeah, and this is why you have Jamiroquai storming the White House.
Fair point.
All right, let's continue.
Play, please. Play. Fair reference.
But as we know, that's not going to be with us for long. So what comes next? What kind of a world order might we expect over the next 10 years? Some of what I might say, I think will surprise you. Because we're not going to have a bipolar or a unipolar or even a multipolar world. If we don't have one or two superpowers, we don't have a single global order. No, instead, we will have three different orders, a little overlapping, and the third will have immense importance for how we live, what we think, what we want, and what we're prepared to do to get it. But first things first. Today, we have a global security order. And as you see from the map, the United States and its allies are the most powerful players on it. The U.S. is the only country in the world that can send its soldiers and its sailors and its military equipment to every corner of that world. No one else close. China is growing in its military capabilities in Asia, though nowhere else. Lots of American allies in Asia are concerned about that, and as a consequence, they're becoming more dependent on the United States for a security umbrella. With the Russian invasion of Ukraine, U.S. allies in Europe are becoming more concerned and dependent on the United States and a U.S.-led NATO. The Russian military, of course, has been a greater global concern, much less so today, especially as they've lost over 200,000 troops and all of that equipment, allegedly, and with sanctions making it extremely hard for them to rebuild. Now, Russia and China and others have nuclear weapons, but thank God it is still suicide to use them. And as a consequence, our security order is a unipolar order, and it is likely to remain so for the next decade. Now, at the same time that there's a security order,
it's not long,
there's also a global economic order. And here, power is shared. The United States is still a very robust global economy, but the US can't use its dominant position militarily to tell other countries what to do economically. The United States and China are enormously economically interdependent, and so they can't control each other. You may be surprised to hear this, but today, US-China trade relations are actually at their highest level in history. Now, other countries in the world, a lot of them want access to US military muscle, but they also want access to the Chinese market. soon by 2030, likely to be the largest in the world. And you can't very well have a Cold War if the US and the Chinese are the only two that are prepared to fight it. Yes? Yes. So the European Union has the largest common market, and they set the rules. And if you want to do profitable business there, you listen to those rules. India is playing a greater role economically on the global stage. Japan still matters too. And over the next 10 years, there will be a rise and fall of the relative capacities of these economies. But the global economic order is and will remain a multipolar order. Now, between these two orders are tensions, because the United States will use its power in national security to try to bring more of the world's economies towards it. And we already see this starting to happen in semiconductors and in critical minerals, and maybe soon in TikTok. The Chinese are trying to use their dominant commercial position to align more of the world diplomatically. And Japan and Europe and India and everyone else will do their damnedest to ensure that neither of these two orders dominate the other, and they will mostly succeed. Now, so far, I have spoken with you about the two world orders we already see, but there's a third that is coming soon that's even more important.
Oh, guesses.
I saw this. That's what I'm saying quiet to the whole thing.
Information order.
Okay, go on.
That's it. That's my guess.
Ash, what does information mean?
What does that
The
mean?
data.
What does it?
Data
what does that
wars.
mean?
The data collection he's talking about.
Exactly.
So not knowledge creation. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Because
knowledge
that's
creation.
what I'm thinking.
No.
Like, because if you're talking about here, we're talking about you could have a scientific or a cultural order that's coming to take over, you know. But right now here he's talking about military order and he's talking about an economic order.
Cultural order would be very difficult to have because, I mean, okay, I see that the US had a cultural order back in the day where, like, maybe until now.
الغزو
where-
الفكري you mean?
Exactly, yes. All the information all the media and everything is coming from the US.
I'd argue not so much nowadays.
Not so much.
I'm just
Back
saying
in the day
that
it
could be
was.
one sphere. I'm not saying that's the sphere
It could
necessarily.
be from a culture. What was the other thing you mentioned?
Scientific, like knowledge creation. I think that's one area that
Yeah.
you know,
My guess, logistics.
logistics.
Well, all your three guesses
Stupid.
are no. I'm not going to answer this.
Shit on us.
But all your three guesses, خلقة.
Yeah, he does that for free. We don't need to give him
Exactly.
reason.
You don't need to empower me, Turks.
He's already
But I like to.
All three guesses are actually problems that we are facing today. When he was talking about, and between China and the US, there's always going to be these powers that are going to go up and down. One of them that's going up is Saudi right now. And basically, what he's saying in terms of the balance, it's going to be other countries, which is going to be Europe, the Middle East, and Asia to a certain extent, that are going to benefit so much out of these two that they're always going to be aligned. Why? Because if they start attacking each other, then we all lose. You know?
Yeah.
And China doesn't want to lose its diplomatic status in the world where it goes and helps. And when he's talking about commercial powers, what they're doing in Africa, they go build ports,
Yeah.
right? And when he's talking about the US is pure security because the US doesn't manufacture jack shit.
The terms, that term about going to Africa, I believe there was an African politician who said, when Europe comes, we get a lecture. And when China comes, we get a school.
Yeah.
Oof.
I think it was
That's a teach a man a fish.
Over the last 2 years, like during the Biden era, African countries like leaders came out and bluntly like trashed like Macron from France. I think it was in Zimbabwe or somewhere where they just bluntly just trashed him in front of the whole media while he's standing there. And so they've been speaking up against the West, Europe and the US. Because China showed that, if you do business with us, we're actually come and build things for you to run. And then you just guys pay us back through the profits that you guys make.
So rather than just literally extract all your wealth and then give you nothing back.
Exactly.
Which is the Western model.
Symbiotic, not parasitic.
Also, the US and Europe are the ones that created the idea of, when China comes and puts you into debt to Madrid, there's actually a whole study that does not fucking exist.
Bro, we're talking about the US-led system with the IMF and the shock therapy that literally put countries into debt until this day. So that's not a good model to follow also.
This is very interesting.
It's very interesting. We are going to interesting times, but let's get to his third.
And that is the digital order.
I was actually thinking about that.
And the digital order is not run by governments, but by technology companies.
Okay.
We all know how much military support NATO countries have provided Ukraine during the war. But it's technology companies that provided the tools allowing Ukraine to defend itself from Russian cyber attack. It's technology companies that gave the Ukrainian leaders the ability to speak with their generals and their soldiers on the front lines. If it wasn't for those technology companies, Ukraine would have been fully offline within weeks of the war, and I don't believe President Zelensky would still be there today. Technology companies determine whether Donald Trump is able, in real time and without filter, to speak with hundreds of millions of people as he runs again for the presidency.
Great example.
My guess.
It's social media.
My guess. The global superpower is, now that he said it, is it Silicon Valley?
Can this guy finish so we can discuss?
Okay. I like
Both of you are trying to take guesses before the guy even finished his sentences.
I like spoilers.
What's the fucking point of watching this then?
Play. Let
Again, for the presidency.
Yeah, have you seen this head?
You heard this?
Oh, the head.
It's social media platforms and their ability to promote disinformation and conspiracy theory. Without them, we do not have riots
Very true.
in the Capitol on January 6th. We do not have trucker riots in Ottawa. We do not have a January 8th insurrection in Brazil. Technology companies increasingly determine our identities. When I was growing up, it's nature and nurture. I mean, my deep and abiding emotional problems either come from how I was raised or some genetic failure. Could be both. But today, our identities are determined by nature and nurture and algorithm.
Oof.
If you want to challenge the system, you can't just question authority, as we were all told when we were growing up. Today, you have to question the algorithm. And that is a staggering amount of power in the hands of these technology companies. What are they going to do with that power?
Make money.
And that depends on who they want to be when they grow up. So if China and the United States work to exert much more power over the digital world, and technology companies in those countries align with those governments, we will end up in a technology Cold War. And that means the digital order will be split in two. If, on the other hand, technology companies persist with global business models and we retain competition between the digital and physical worlds, we will have a new globalization, a digital global order. Or if the digital order becomes increasingly dominant and governments erode in their capacity to govern, and we've already seen the beginning of this, technology companies will become the dominant actors on the global stage in every way, and we will have a techno-polar order. And that will determine whether we have a world of limitless opportunity or a world without freedom.
Oof.
Now, at this point in my speech...
Which is which?
That was strong.
Which is which, though?
That was strong.
I like the fact that he's coming up with new terminologies. Technopolar world
Order.
order. But
Digital order.
Yeah, but so what does that actually mean in reality? Like how governments erode in their capacity to govern. Like, okay, yes, you do have failed states, or you do have failed states that are close to failing. You do have eroding government institutions in Western
No.
democracies.
What he's referring to basically is the idea that you have Anthony Fauci in the United States telling you, "Yo, the vaccine is not giving you a virus. It's not giving you microchips." And people with 500 followers on Twitter, they say, "Oh, actually, it is." And Anthony Fauci is an immortal vampire, and it gets 20,000 retweets and quote tweets, and Jim Bob and Bob in Alabama believe it.
That's the first part of the conversation.
Don't even look at that one. It's just in general. How many times did we see on social media where someone or something changes the way people are looking at something without actual facts? So this is already happening.
Yeah, very true. Like a lot of what
it
he's
can
saying,
only get worse.
a lot of what he's saying like is already in place. Like when he was talking about splitting across with governments, I'm thinking about how TikTok is, seen by some people as an arm of the Chinese government, right? It's the arm of the Chinese government. It's collecting all of this data on people across the world, and that's why you have all these problems with the US and Europe fighting it. I don't think that we will end up in a world where technology splits into two. I think it's too integrated at this point. It's going to be very hard to disentangle the world from that.
China showed you that we could give a shit about the global internet.
Yeah.
And we have our own internet. Exactly.
But they're sending out, like, now you see the second stage of that, where it's Chinese internet companies dominating in a certain sphere.
What was that Chinese app that basically
WeChat.
WeChat.
Weibo. There's a bunch of them.
WeChat and Bigo, I think.
Weibo.
Exactly. And and those apps kind of hinted what he's saying in terms of polar world, and these are the apps that are used to organize and control your life in a sense in China, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Facebook come out with a Balkans book where you end up using that as it's just a way to get your life in order, basically.
Do you see the thing? I don't understand the idea where we're saying, oh, because China has a closed internet that they don't know what they're doing and look what they're doing to people. Okay, because at the same time, I see it as it benefits U.S. policy that everyone has an open internet. Because
why?
You know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
We've seen so many times how they interfere in other governments and into other populations and other countries and go into their business using social media and make an uprising. We've seen that happen through Facebook.
Yeah, which is their technology.
Wasn't it Myanmar?
Myanmar, where they incited against the Rohingya Buddhist monks were inciting against the Rohingya. That was one part. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of stuff that happened in South America as well.
It's everywhere. But here's the thing. So they're saying, like, what you just said a second ago about WeChat and so on. You're saying that because it's backed by a government, there could be something negative, right? Or more government control is not positive. But right now, from what he's saying, if we're putting two and two together, Apple is your government. X is your government.
What I'm saying is it's not worse. I'm saying it's already happening in a sense where, like,
it already happened. Happening.
It already happened where you have, is it Tencent? Is the company that owns Weibo, where Tencent is now not just an arm of the Chinese government. It's a huge global player. It's a huge global player that has an impact on the lives of millions of people. So that type of influence, that's the thing. Do you imagine a world where you can't able to access, let's say, Chinese companies or Chinese apps just because, you're not living in that part of the world? I don't see it happening.
You can access it.
Yeah.
But they're building their world.
Which they already did.
Exactly.
Which they already did.
For me, as a Chinese citizen, everything I want is online in a certain way. And everything that I want to order is online in a certain way. And this all functions for me. It serves me.
But do you see a world in which technology companies have more power over...
They already do. They already do.
Okay.
Wait a minute, Adil. You what you're saying is you've been Chinese this whole time?
He interrupted
the whole conversation with that dumbass joke.
So you're saying Google has more power than fucking Belgium, let's say?
Oh, hell yeah!
Belgium specifically, yes.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean, Belgium?
Elon Musk has more power than most governments right now.
Belgium has French fries. That's about it.
They also have waffles, great waffles.
And
But
chocolate.
again, if Belgium wanted to shut down, Facebook, they could shut down Facebook.
Yeah, but who cares about Belgium?
The Belgians, I'm sure they do.
So you as a government, you can shut it down, right? But then what do you have to do for your people to be using an internet and shit? Because we did in Saudi a long time ago, well, maybe not that long, well, almost a while ago now, we had applications that were banned.
Mhm.
You lived your life though.
Yeah, true. That's what I'm saying. Like that, the amount of control that you have as a company over states is gonna be limited always in some sense. At the end of the day, the U.S. government is going to be able to dictate to Google and Apple what to do and what not to do.
Try blocking X, Facebook, Instagram, and everything from people. And without giving them an alternative.
Watch them get bored real quick.
Or watch them go at you real quick.
And that's a consequence of getting bored.
Yeah. And that's why in China, you have all these applications that do everything that you want. You want your dating apps, you want your ordering apps, you want your delivery apps. All of it is all integrated within you in your society. You see yourself, you see your life. And so the things that they do for them, it works perfectly. At the same time, they have access to the whole world. I'm not going to tell you, I said this on the podcast once, I think, I don't want to get in trouble for it, but we know someone who's Chinese when we were in Australia, and we were looking for a book. And he's like, oh, okay. He went to this Chinese website. He's like, what book do you want? I get it for you PDF right now. It will cost you like 50 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a library that's copied page for page that's available for them. They have everything that we think that they don't have.
Yeah.
They're just paying a little penny for it.
And plus, when you think of copyright as a suggestion,
As a vibe.
you can get away with a lot of things.
The question here, do you see Apple being more powerful than China?
No, because
it's China.
Because it's China.
Okay.
Because it's China.
Hey, okay.
But Apple can be more powerful than
Let's not name.
Venezuela.
Let's name.
No, let's name.
Okay. Like, let's see where you land on the world ranking.
It will attack other countries. It can ruin other countries.
Apple has a market cap of 1 trillion. How many countries have a GDP?
Is it one? I think it's more than one now.
At this point.
Yeah, I'm using that as a nice round
It's like
number.
3.2 or something.
Trillion?
I think so.
Okay, let's say
See his face.
let's say
I'll look it up while you talk.
Let's assume, for the sake of argument, lowball it and say 1 trillion. How many countries have a GDP of 1 trillion?
Very few. Like very, very.
I was wrong. 2.76 trillion.
Both of us were
Which
wrong.
is still a lot of trillions.
Exactly.
It's more than
The only
one.
thing above is Aramco.
It's a T. It's a
1,000 billion.
Okay, yeah. You're looking at it now. At some point, yes, you are right. Yeah, our information domain is controlled by these social media companies. The algorithm controls
What do we see?
No, not just what you see, what you believe and what you don't believe, and it forms.
No, the algorithm is there to make you believe what it wants you to believe.
Bro, like the fact that it's been empirically proven that Facebook encourages more hate articles because that creates more engagement is just bro. If anything, with the point that I was actually wanted to go back to.
We're all over the place here, bro. What do you want to say?
If anything, this proves the point that I was saying a couple of episodes ago in terms of not really understanding the social impact of social media yet on our brains. The fact that we have access to all of this information.
No, I think it's there already. I think because you don't have children.
What do you mean? Now, I'm talking about generally as society.
As society, I think it's very obvious, bro. We all look the same. We all act the same.
Because one of the examples right now happening with, let's say, what's happening in Palestine. The fact that you are getting all of this live footage streamed down to you of real stuff that's happening on the ground. We've never been able to have this kind of access to this kind of information. Look at that power that we now have just because of these technology companies.
Yeah, but it wasn't because we never had that access. No, it's because today everyone understands the value of media and how when you have a war, the media plays a role. For the Palestine example, Israel had the power all along because it had the U.S. media backing it.
True, very true.
But
and it controlled access to the information.
Exactly, but this time, Hamas made sure that, I'm going to show you my side also and play my own game and show you what's going on and making you feel like I'm doing something amazing when I'm the one who put you in trouble.
And we're not getting to that subject, but just the use of technology and the conflict right now that we're seeing proves the point where global companies can really bring countries down to their knees because Israel is losing the media war.
Starlink with Ukraine.
Not a really good example, but it's a good example. It's an example. I'm just saying because it's not very efficient.
Let's go back to a more universal example. Politics aside and conflict aside, let's a more general use case. Imagine your life without social media right now. What is your perception of a attractive person without social media and without traditional media?
Whatever your eyes likes.
Yeah, but now with Instagram, you have access to more beautiful people than most of kings throughout history.
You are really in pain.
Yeah,
Man is really
Always thinking about that.
I'm going through it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the idea that a lot of the time, when you go back and look at history, a person got married from within his environment. He didn't really have a high sense of awareness of what a quote unquote a spouse, an attractive spouse would look like, what is their expectation lifestyle wise, behavior wise, etc. Now we have so many young people in their 20s and their early 30s who have such an unrealistic expectation of what their mate or spouse should be like
Because of social media.
because of social media.
And that proves his point exactly when he say it used to be nature and nurture, now it's algorithm. You add algorithm.
That's what we're telling you. You say
version.
we don't have enough information on how social media affected people. But I'm telling you, no, it's all there.
We know it's affecting them, but عرفت
and how? We already have studies.
we're still understanding like عرفت that aspect of it. And for me,
I don't think so. I think it's been over 20 years with social media.
what I'm saying is the use cases have not been عرفت. We still haven't played everything out. عرفت. And for me now, for example, being able to see all of this.
Okay, what haven't played out? Because we use internet more than you. But maybe you're missing out on something that we can fill in.
I'm just thinking right now, being able to like every day, every time I open social media, I'm seeing videos of violence that is happening in Palestine, and I'm just thinking, how is that really affecting people? I'm as much as
We said the same thing when we had what's the name? When we saw Daesh.
True, also true.
We had all those
Also
videos
true.
and worse.
Also true.
Yes.
Also
So I
true.
told you that we already lived through all of this. We already seen it.
Highly produced at that.
Yeah, exactly. Must be Allah, then Maloki.
But so here goes back to the question: how do you control this?
You can't.
You can't control now.
Any technology companies? Is there? Can you put a leash on them?
Profit.
Do you want to put a leash on them, Aslan?
Are you gonna leech capitalism?
I mean, isn't that why they?
I told you, take my freedom, but never take my money.
Doesn't the bull have reins?
Have what?
The
What?
Wall Street bull has like reins.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No, that's a horse.
It's a naked bull.
We apologize, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't do stocks.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Wall Street bull in the street.
I know the one. That does, I don't think it has.
Doesn't have reins.
No.
He got huge. Anyway, let's finish it up.
Hey, see that?
Let's finish it up.
I'm supposed to talk about the good news. But those of you that have heard this know that that is not coming. There is no pause button on these explosive and disruptive technologies. I don't know if you know this. There are over 100 people in the world today with the knowledge and the technology to create a new smallpox virus. Honestly, I don't have answers, but I have a few questions for the people that do. Because these technology companies are not just Fortune 50 and 100 actors. These technology titans are not just men worth $50 or $100 billion or more. They are increasingly the most powerful people on the planet with influence over our futures. And we need to know, are they going to act accountably as they release new and powerful artificial intelligence?
Accountably.
What are they going to do with this unprecedented amount of data that they are collecting on us and our environment? And the one that I think should concern us all right now the most, will they persist with these advertising models driving so much revenues that are turning citizens into products and driving hate and misinformation and ripping apart our society? When I was a student back in 1989 and the wall fell, the United States was the principal exporter of democracy in the world. Not always successfully, often hypocritically, but number one nonetheless. Today, the United States has become the principal exporter of tools that destroy democracy. The technology leaders who create and control these tools, are they okay with that? Or are they going to do something about it? We need to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
So he's basically asking if technology companies care about democracy.
He didn't name the superpower. I call it shenanigans. I expected a third.
Well, this is what the third one is that. That's the new global superpower is these companies that have more power now than governments.
AKA
when it
Google
comes access to people.
and Meta
I'm correct. Silicon Valley.
and X.
Yeah, who is Silicon Valley?
No, but Silicon Valley is different than, and he was talking about specifically technology companies with access to social media that have.
No, he was talking about he started with social media and he was leading to AI. He said, if you were this irresponsible now with this technology, what are you going to do when you have AI with all of its power?
And the question here, as we're talking about, bro, that's the problem. You're asking a dog if it could count. It's a dog.
Mine can.
It's not supposed to count. Okay? No, really, for real. Like it's, you ask a dog to bite. So you're talking to a company. Company's main purpose to exist is to make more money for people who own the stock, shareholders and whatever. So how does a company care about democracy? You can't make it care about democracy unless you subvert it under the state's control. Unless you say, hey, listen, there are guidelines for what you can do and can't do. Don't tell me that Tencent is not, actually executing Chinese government policy right now.
And don't tell me that Meta, Google, and Apple are not executing what the U.S. government wants.
Which is basically collecting the data of everybody in the world and
the
saying...
U.S. government playing the whole of, أنا ما أعرف إيش قاعد يصير, and saying, oh, look, China knows what this is doing, but you're saying, no, we don't know what we're doing.
Because we're the good guys.
Exactly, so that's the bullshit. It's the same.
We're innocent.
No, but
All these tools are made to not divide us. It is a competition of who has the best tool. And if it destroys the world, they can give a fuck as long as money's coming in.
Yeah.
The tools are made to make the money off of us, one way or the other.
If those tools are used to cause problems in the US, problems that the military has to be involved, changes in legislation would happen overnight.
Bro, but you already had stuff like, political issues like the whole capital.
You said political issues.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
You say, at least insurrection, that's something different.
Yeah, Jamiroquai is small potatoes.
No, but see here, and again, it's in the US. So it's a US, I care about the US because I'm in the US. But hey, genocide's happening in Myanmar. I don't
they don't
shit.
care. Exactly.
They don't care.
That's what I'm telling you. Only when it affects them that they start realizing what's happening in the world. Oh, this tool that we use against everybody is now hurting us.
Can you imagine a world that you live in without being able to tell your kids, hey, don't get on social media? Like that's very difficult to do.
It is a world that today every parent is trying their best to push the phone to push it back as much as possible.
Exactly, trying. You're still trying.
Yeah, but at the end you have all these irresponsible parents that don't give a shit about their kids being 3 years old on TikTok.
Yes, listeners, if the Kabsa Boys had access to Snapchat in high school, the Kabsa Boys would be in jail.
Okay. Number one is speaking, very with much belief in this.
I am correct. I know all your shit.
Okay.
Well, anyway.
That was a very interesting clip. Thank you for sharing.
We had no topics today.
No, but that's the
But at the end of the day, we did have some topics.
Like it took. Okay, so people.
And he's still talking.
How
We don't have topics.
How long?
And he still has topics.
How long has the military dominated human affairs? Right? How long has economics dominated human affairs?
Since the beginning.
Economics, I would argue, is much
There's
more
this
recent.
thing called the Bronze Age collapse. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, that was caused by the sea people.
No,
We
that's
don't know.
one of the causes.
Okay.
How many big families that we know from back in the day, right, that profited off of wars, that profited off everything, and they had power?
Don't say that name. Don't say that family name, please.
No,
We'll get demonetized. Don't say it.
Okay.
You know the name. Don't
They
say
own
it.
the internet.
Don't say it.
That's what I'm going with right now is the trend of change now is what? And it took 300 years for capitalism to establish itself in the world, right? It took 3,000 years for, war is still dominating it.
Well, it's always money and
30 years for these companies to be able to get to this point where they can just masters of the
people that are
universe.
more powerful than them.
Yeah.
Taylor
We're
Swift.
not going to say their name because we don't want to get them on.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Israel didn't just pop up out of nowhere.
The roots run deep.
Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We apologize if something happened this week and we missed it because we were not here. Actually, we're still not here as you listen to this.
No.
Yes.
And,
I do not exist.
Inshallah, when we get back, we'll get back on track.
And that's the
Another
episode.
transition.
Yeah. This is where the episode ends.
Hamsam
It
Tasliya.
started there, it ends here.
I'm Brand number one. I'm Brand. We out?
Yeah,
Peace.